Howdy, everybody. Happy Skews Day to you. Today is June 15th, 2021. I'm Trey Crowder, and that, you may have ascertained, is not Smart Mark. He's on vacation in Hawaii, perhaps giving a sea turtle the business. Who knows? Either way, he'll be back next week. That is our guest host tonight. You know him, you love him. It's senior Georgia correspondent and chief good buddy, Ryan Forrester. Hey, Corey, what's up?
Howdy, Trey. I sort of look like if Mark got stung by a bunch of jellyfish on the head while he was at. That's a reappropriation of your classic, but I figured, why not? Steal from the best. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for coming back. And this
Have
is
you
not.
seen those pictures of Mark, by the way?
Yeah, for y'all that don't, I feel like y'all do know just because you see him, and even from the shoulders up, you could tell. But Mark is jacked, and he's on the beach, and he takes his shirt off, and it's so funny because he looks so sad still. Like it's this shirtless Adonis. Mark
Yeah.
is just ripped on the beach with his wife, just dead inside, just no emotion on his face. That he's a beautiful Hawaiian land oceanscape behind him. He's got abs and shit, and he's just looking at the camera like,
Do you know why? It's because he's 48 years old and hasn't had a carb in 3 years.
yeah, well, hey, listen, Mark was on vacation either way, but this works out well with you coming back, Corey, because we got a little announcement to make for everybody. Me and Corey and our buddy Drew Morgan are going back on tour. Finally, we're doing live comedy shows again, y'all. And we're starting off in Atlanta on July 10th. But we're adding dates every day. We're a bunch of cities. We're trying to get out there as much as we can. You go to wellreadcomedy.com. Producer Matt's put it up there, and check out the tour dates and get your tickets and whatnot. And if your city's on there and there are no tickets, they will be soon. It's a
Yeah.
logistical nightmare trying to put all this together after 18 months off, but we're working through it all, and we hope y'all come and see us.
Yeah, and if you're in a city that we've played before and it's not up there, don't worry. We're working on it. We're getting around to it. It's been, logistics are a whole thing. And today, we booked 3 or 4 shows that just aren't on that list because you got to get confirmation and stuff. But I mean, I'm so excited. Can't wait to go out and see everybody. And I'm excited to do the only thing I'm good at again, finally.
No, you're good at this too, baby, and we're about to prove it. But yeah, I'm with you. Come check us out live on the road. We would appreciate it. But let's do the show. With us, as always, is producer Matt, holding it all together. This is Weekly Skews tonight. Because our guest host is so skilled at talking shit about them, we have a very dumbass heavy episode for you. If we have time, we will also talk shit about Joe Manchin being Mitch McConnell's bitch. And either way, at the halfway point, we will welcome our guest this evening, Seattle billionaire and income inequality activist. Yeah, you heard that right. Nick Hanauer, who'll join us for a
That's a
conversation.
liberal redneck type of thing.
It is. It's an oxymoron. That's right. But he backs it up. He'll join us for a conversation on the uber wealthy in this country and the prospect of perhaps eating them all. All that and more on tonight's Skews. But first, as always, the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, one of my favorite clips yet. It's from last week, and it's Texas Republican Congressman Louis Gohmert, who had some interesting thoughts on how we might best battle climate change. Matt?
Understand from what's been testified to the Forest Service and the BLM, you want very much to work on the issue of climate change. I was informed by the immediate past director of NASA that they have found that the moon's orbit is changing slightly, and so is the Earth's orbit around the sun. We know there's been significant solar flare activity. And so is there anything that the National Forest Service or BLM can do to change the course of the moon's orbit or the Earth's orbit around the sun? Obviously, that would have profound effects on our climate.
I would have to follow up with you on that one, Mr. Gohmert.
Yeah. Well, if you figure out a way that you in the Forest Service can make that change, I'd like to know. Also, just to put on your
I love this clip so much. I made a internet video about it last week, but I just love the sort of professional senatorial way in which he asked this absurdly stupid question. He's just like, listen, is there a way we could perhaps hook the moon up to a truck, like a very large truck, like a space truck? And
I'm sure
just
Joe
tow
Manchin's
it
got a
out.
big winch. He's from West Virginia.
Tow it out a little ways, just kind of see what happens. Could we maybe do that? Have you looked into that?
I got a couple. I got a couple things.
Let's do it, please.
So first and foremost, one thing that really pisses me off, for a lot of you that don't know, very recently in my career, I have sort of entered the satirical video business, and I try to do my best to provide at least 2 or 3 tells in the video so that people can be like, yeah, this is clearly satire. Because like, I still trick people, but I'm not trying to. I want people to know it's a comedy bit. And some people will share these videos and be like, it's so close to the truth, I had to watch it 3 times to make sure. And I'm always like, really? Come on, guys. Like, I know that they're dumb. I know they do stupid things, but like, come on. You had to know this is comedy. Dude, if that word for word just came out of your mouth on a video, I'd be like, well done. Like, good job. Good job.
Right.
That's really funny shit. I just
it's that the
I don't get it,
Poe's
man.
law thing.
It's
how
Poe's
like,
law, full
it
effect.
becomes so much harder to tell what is or is not satire, and satire itself just becomes so much more difficult when the object of the satire is, satirizing itself almost, or parodying itself. It's almost impossible to tell what is or is not a joke, because you can't make a joke that's more ridiculous than the shit they actually say.
I do like that he's trying, like he cares.
I know. I agree.
Like,
I agree with that. Actually,
I kind of don't want to shit on him too much.
Right? No, I'm with you on that. Actually,
Like this
he's
man's
obviously a
literally
dipshit.
willing to lasso the moon.
Right? Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, it just reminds me so much of. I mean, one time my granny, who, as you know, was very old, pretty much her whole life. She was real old, born in 1920. And didn't go to school, and I loved her, but not the smartest woman on earth. And when I first started going bald, my granny one time, she goes, "Hey, have you ever thought about rubbing salt on your head?" And I go, "Huh?" And she goes, "Yeah, rub salt on your head." And I'm sitting there like, hey, she's, old wives' tales are a thing. I go, "Oh, what's that supposed to do?" Like, and she goes, "Huh? Oh, I don't know. I just can't hurt. Can't hurt." Like, but we got a dude who's an elected official, pretty much just being like, "You ever thought about just pulling the moon?" It's just beyond, man. It's unbelievable.
I actually think that's really indicative what you just said, because like they have always, because your granny, listen, God rest her soul, somehow behind her time. But I'm saying she didn't. What she was not doing was watching like YouTube clips and be like, do your own research and stuff.
Right.
She was just coming up with shit,
Yeah.
seeing what sticks, But it's like,
yeah, man.
They have that same impulse, I feel like, today,
and we don't have to.
But they can go on YouTube and find something that supports it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now it's like, no, look, do your research, look at the facts or whatever, as opposed to back then you asked her, how's that supposed to work? And she just had to say, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought maybe it would. I was just coming up with something.
Yeah, I missed that. My granny also wasn't a dipshit, hateful bitch. So like that helped too, But again, like the simple fact that he's looking for answers and admitting that it's a problem that needs being solved is a step in the right direction. I got to say. So
no, you're right. You're right. All right, moving on. Our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is kind of in the same vein. It's anti-vaxxers for not just appreciating their new superpowers. What am I talking about? Well, we've got a clip from an Ohio city council meeting where a anti-vax expert witness stated her case for the court. Matt, play it, please.
And some of the information that I think had been discussed in your podcast related to EMF frequencies.
That was a thought.
And
it was because right now we're all kind of hypothesizing. I mean, what is it that's actually being transmitted that's causing all of these things? Is it a combination of the protein, which now we're finding has a metal attached to it? I'm sure you've seen the pictures all over the internet of people who've had these shots and now they're magnetized. They can put a key on their forehead, it sticks. They can put spoons and forks all over them and they can stick. Because now we think that there's a metal piece to that. There's been people who've long suspected that there was some sort of an interface, yet to be defined, an interface between what's being injected in these shots and all of the 5G towers. Not proven yet, but we're trying to figure out what is it that's being transmitted to these unvaccinated people.
Yeah, see, they're magnetized, Joe. They're like, they now are tuned into the 5G network. They are one with the internet. You know what I mean? Like, just, why wouldn't you want to get vaccinated? If it could do all that to turn you into Magneto, shit, why not?
I know. I was about to say, like, me mentioning a lot of features, not bugs, in my opinion. Like, I don't, like, it's just so goddamn bizarre to me that this fucking substitute teacher lady is like sitting there just like, yeah, by the way, the government is trying to turn citizens into the fucking Winter Soldier anonymously and with just complete chaos. We're not going to give them any orders. We're just going to like, it's just, dude, like, we can't even, like, if I go a mile, 2 miles from my house, I don't have cell service no more. And I live in what's considered a civilized area. My point is, like, we can't even figure out actual cell phones yet. Right. What the fuck do these people think? That they're really going to put something in our brain that they can just click on, control. And again, if that is what's going to happen, at least it'll happen to all of us. You know what I mean? In which case, like, who gives a shit? I don't know, man. Like, I just don't understand how these people just willy-nilly. By the way, twice in there, she goes, "It's not been proven. We're just." You have to stop there. You have to shut the fuck up and sit back down.
If they want everyone to get on the network through which they can control us, you would think the first thing they would do is make this network unbelievably efficient. Like you were saying, it's like everyone knows the 5G network, unreal. It works so good. That way it gets everybody onto it. That way they can control us. But like you said, you go out into a holler somewhere and shit don't even work anymore, but we're supposed to believe that they just sort of put aside the making it all kind of hit part of the research and moved on to the controlling everybody's brains through the frequencies that are injected in the chemicals that come with the COVID vaccine or whatever the fuck they are saying happens.
Also, here's the deal. I don't know if these like just step back for a second, think about what you're saying, and then examine the world around you and understand that this shit has already happened. All right. You look at this and you go, the government wants to control us and they want us to all be, unified and under their control. They've already done that. It's called the 40-hour work week with a goddamn minimum wage that hasn't gone up in years and Adderall prescriptions that are being written out of the back of a goddamn van. You already are. They control you. You know what I'm saying? Until people start making a minimum wage, until the market doesn't completely collapse in on and of itself, until scammers like, these a new Bitcoin or something is coming and taking all these teenagers' money. And I'm sure that's a fine thing. But I'm just saying, like, we are under capitalistic control, all of us. I'm doing well in it, by the way, but I'm still a part of their fucking system. That is the government's control. Sorry if I'm having my own Alex Jones moment, but they don't need to do any fucking thing else. No, they've got us, dude. Every single person that they want to be their little worker bee just fucking marches to that beat because they have to. It's called the 5 o'clock goddamn whistle.
That's right. But, Joe, she's not alone, okay? There are rock gods who believe the same thing this woman believes. That's right. I'm talking about... No, Eric Clapton, baby. We were just talking about Eric Clapton last week on the Well Read podcast, talking shit about him. We'll come back to that in a little bit, but he's on an anti-vax kick lately, and we got a couple clips to that effect. Matt, I don't know which one's first. Just play it and we'll talk about it.
Was a little drawing of a guy interviewing two Quakers and saying, how come none of your community has got COVID? And they said, well, we don't watch TV. It's so true, man. There's so much of the sickness is in our heads now. And I
also Amish,
dude. Did
we predict this shit?
Dude, they probably get first Amish people or Quakers or whatever the hell he's talking about get COVID and they just think they've coughed themselves to death in the mud because that's what happens when you're Amish. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't know the difference between COVID and fucking, they probably still got tuberculosis. I don't know. I'm the one being ignorant now. I'm just saying you can't ask an Amish or whatever the hell he's talking about. It's Amish equivalent. It's Amish adjacent. You can't ask them what's going on with COVID in your community and then equate it to the fact that they don't watch TV and thus they're just fine. You know,
of course. I was about to say, like in all of these instances, think about what you're saying, step back for a second, apply it to the world around you and realize that it's already happening. Amish people and Quakers don't get COVID because they've been quarantining since the dawn of time. They are fucking quarantining in place. Like they only go around each other. Like that's probably the first human being that they've talked to, some insane lady who just ran up to Amishville. And I know that they have to send their representative to sell butter. I understand that they got to make a living. I'm just saying, like the Amish don't just like go, you know, rub elbows with the common folk who have the goddamn COVID. Like that's but you're right. Like you can't, that's
how
not
would
how
they
that works.
know is my thing. You know what I mean? Like they would, whatever. People
Nope, we all just got black lung.
Right. Pneumonia, whatever they think it is. How would they even know it's COVID? Now, Matt, we're going to move on. I want everybody to know, though, that Clapton later in that same interview says the thing that worries him the most about vaccines is how it's going to affect his children. And listen, I don't know. If you know anything about
open a window.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Also, listen, of course, Eric Clapton rocks. Of course, he rocks. But if y'all are unaware, we, like I said, just talked about it on the Well Read podcast. He's got a long-standing resume as being a bit of a lunatic dipshit. He's gone on racist tirades on stage before that you can look up yourself, where he just says some pretty out there shit.
It's not veiled either, really.
No,
it's
not at all.
Kind of on
just
the nose.
Like the Jamaicans need to get the fuck out of Britain because it's a white man's country. Like literally that type of thing. That's the type of shit that Eric Clapton believed in the 70s. And now we're putting him on hearing out his thoughts on COVID and the vaccine, and I'm just not trying to hear it. But moving on, our next honorable mention for Daily Dumbass, anybody who thinks God was just, kind of bullshitting with all that other plague stuff. Put up the screen grab. This is Corey's favorite, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said that COVID must be a bioweapon. It must be. It had to come from a Chinese laboratory because God would never create a fatal illness that harms people. What God she been fucking with, Cho? Like, because in my experience, that's God's thing, baby. Like nothing is more God's wheelhouse than a plague. Like, dude, God's been doing plagues since way back in the day.
Yeah, like that's his wet bandits calling card for sure. But like, no, when I think our first digital show, like very, very early on, like a joke that I was working on, I can't remember the back part too, but it was basically like, I'm seeing a lot of people, like, oh, God will get us through this. God will get us through this. God will get us through this. And they were like praying to God. And I just like imagined God up there just like, y'all know I did the pandemic, right? Like this is me. This is me. Like that is like, yeah, dude, there wasn't, dude, back in the biblical days, in God's opinion, there wasn't a situation couldn't be handled by a good old fashioned plague.
He
loved it.
He had the plague, but he got a real hair plague trigger. Like he had the plague button on speed dial back in the day. It's like people, you fucking around, talking shit. You're not,
plague.
You're not addressing the fucking crops properly or whatever. Plague.
He would mini plague people
in a way I don't appreciate. Plague.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Just everything was plague from God back in the day, but now this plague must be Chinese because God would never do that. That's what God do.
Yeah,
that's
and also
what he do.
And sometimes when it is, that is what he do. And some like, dude, there was even one time where he was like, I don't want to be derivated, so he just drowned everybody. Like I don't know. Yeah, dude. Again, it's like it's one of those like that's a very I don't even like to say his name really, but like Trumpian 2 Corinthians thing, like just how full of shit these people are, because that's clearly just her saying a thing. Oh, God would never. But again, as you said, like, dude, even people that barely fuck with the Bible are like, pretty sure that's the plague guy. You know what I mean?
Isn't
like,
that
that's
like
Uptown
isn't
Girl.
that the reason you're supposed to like
Fear
do
him.
all the godly shit? Is because if we don't, he'll plague us all to death.
Yeah.
Like if we don't do what God says we're supposed to do, he'll murder us all with a plague. Like that's straight from the Bible, right?
Yeah, dude, that's like sometimes it's like 8 things in a row. It's like, all right, day 1, crickets. You know what I mean? It just rains crickets. And then it's like, all right, we're going to kill just your firstborn. You know what I mean?
All your most important babies.
Heir. Yeah, unless you slaughter a lamb and rub their neck blood on the top of a door. This guy, I got to tell you, unhinged.
Did that by their own doctrine and then turn around and being like, God would never.
Never. It must be the Chinese. Now, Shinto, whoever their God is, sure, maybe.
All right, our next honorable mention, it's one of Cho's favorites. It's Ted Cruz for hoping that his flag would talk back. I don't know. Let's see how he spent the morning of Flag Day, everybody.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I know you've got some thoughts on this, Cho. Some of our fans may have seen you go off on it already, but he tweeted this with the caption, "This didn't used to be controversial." And then he did that. So, Cho, won't you tell us what you think about all this?
Well, I can't really rile myself up to the extent that I was yesterday when I took my shirt off and screamed into a camera about exactly how much this type of shit pisses me off. But a couple immediate thoughts for this that I really always like to put out there, because something that always happens to me and you and anyone, anytime you just dare speak the words, hey, I don't think, hypothetically, just throwing it out there, I don't think that you should shoot an unarmed black person. When you say something that like just crazy and controversial, there will be people that jump on and go, look at this social justice warrior that's virtue signaling. They go, that's all the leftists do. This is fucking virtue signaling. That's what that is. You're signaling your virtue. By the way, I don't find there to be anything wrong, realistically, with the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever. Like, from a just, if I saw a child doing it, whatever. It's the, hey, we must do this. You must be forced to do this. That's not what that's not what soldiers died for. And I'm
also
just, I can't speak.
The whole this didn't used to be controversial thing, and I know you touched on this too. It's like, dude, my sons go to fucking Walt Disney Elementary in fucking Los Angeles, California. All right, it's a very California-y school.
Yeah.
They do at the Christmas events. They sing like fucking Christmas songs for every culture. They got Kwanzaa covered. They debate. I think they do fucking Saturnalia.
Yeah.
Right. That's how open-minded and progressive they are as a school. They do the goddamn Pledge of Allegiance.
Of course.
Like,
no
it's
one
not
thinks
at all
that's
controversial. We are still doing it. All right. Now, the thing is, his ass ain't doing it. You will never in a million years convince me that he's waking up every day and starting it with that bullshit. There's no way he is, but it's not controversial. It still happens, even in gay-ass California. Yeah, it happens.
It's just like that Roy Wood Jr. bit when he's like, oh, yeah, white people, y'all love the national anthem, right? Yeah, you got it on a playlist? You playing it when you're mowing? They're like, no, you don't. Like, nobody fucking gives a shit about that song. And again, like, it's not – the national anthem was never – controversial. It became controversial when people used that moment when they knew millions of people were watching to take a knee, and then everybody goes, they must hate the song. No, they hate getting shot. You know what I'm saying? That, by the way, is what's controversial. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody on earth, but they can do that. They can sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to post this goddamn video that everybody gets mad about pledging allegiance to the flag. And then all my supporters, which, god damn it, he has them. It's amazing. Can go, yeah, we like the flag. And then they will just excuse him for another couple months of not doing anything to help fucking Texas that desperately needs it. Because that's all they give a shit about. It's virtue signaling. They just give a shit if you do and say the right thing and are wearing the exact right colors. It's no different than America's a fucking sports team to them, but our manager drove off a bridge. You know what I mean? It's just
Absolutely.
bullshit.
Producer Matt points out that "Under God" was added to the Pledge of Allegiance in
The 20s.
1954.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're obviously full of shit. I want to get through some of these next ones a little quicker because we're having so much fun
Sorry.
with these dumbasses here. No, I think it's great. It's awesome, but I want to make sure we get some of them out there. The next honorable mention for Daily Dumbass: whoever paid $18,000 for literally nothing. Matt, put the screen grab up there.
I've
Joe,
done that.
you're gonna love this. An Italian artist auctioned off a quote invisible sculpture for $18,300. It is made of literally nothing. It is a work that asks you to activate the power of your imagination, Salvatore Garro said of his sculpture. This is not the first time this guy's done this, Joe. He has a history of making invisible sculptures. It's kind of his forte. He put Aphrodite Cries outside of the stock exchange, I believe it was, which is just a circle of white tape with nothing in it, but you're supposed to imagine the sculpture inside of that. He also had another sculpture.
Like the Harry Potter mirror? What the fuck is that shit?
See, all right. Well, here's what he says. He says that the artwork finds form in its own nothingness. The vacuum, Corey, is nothing more than a space full of energy, and even if we empty it and there is nothing left, according to the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that nothing has a weight. Therefore, it has energy that is condensed and transformed into particles, that is, into us. So the art is what you make it. This is one of those things where, like, we're artists, right? Hell, we're artists. I love art. But this is one of those things where it's like, I get anyone who fucking makes the jerk off motion whenever fucking high art comes up, because what the fuck is this? Like, we should put out an album that just, the first track is just us being like, hey, for the next 45 minutes, imagine this is the most insightful, incisive, searing social commentary comedy you've ever heard in your entire life. And somebody paid us $20,000 for that.
You know what I think? If I find out that this is just his commentary, like, and this is what an NFT is, you know, like I can buy into that, because like that, to me, that sounds exactly like that explanation. Here's $18,000 to have this like imaginary fucking thing. And also, I'm wondering, I want you to get what do you think the person's, because this is a political show, it's a Skews. What do you think the politics are of the person that bought that? Because I could go either way on it.
I could too, but I don't know. My inclination is super left wing.
Yeah, me too.
Just because of how artistic it is. So when you buy it, you pay $18,000. You get a certificate of authenticity and a set of rules for how you must display the sculpture. It has to be displayed in I swear to God, has to be displayed in a 5x5 empty space in your home for people to best appreciate it. Again, we're talking about literally nothing.
It's a fart.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was about to say, like, spending money on something stupid is like sort of a conservative move, but like this, I think this is on us.
Yeah. Right. No, I agree.
I don't know, man. That's just suspended in piss was Jesus suspended in piss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So the other one was called, I mentioned the Aphrodite Cries. He also had one called Buddha in Contemplation, which was another invisible sculpture demarcated by a square of tape on a cobblestoned walkway. So
hold on, run that back for me again. That's a lot.
It's entitled Buddha in Contemplation.
Got that.
It's an invisible sculpture demarcated by a square of white tape on a cobblestoned walkway.
Okay,
so
why?
You look at the square of tape, you imagine
Buddha.
the hittingest sculpture you've ever seen in your life inside of that. It's like the fucking Tenacious D song Tribute, except they made a fucking hard rockin' rad ass song.
Right, song about it,
that was a tribute to, the greatest song ever written.
So my thing is, like, with art, it's like, art obviously is subjective, but there are people who get to decide, like, but this, because like so much, it's cliche to be like, it looks like something my 4-year-old did, but some people get to decide that's worth $35,000. why does this guy get to sell invisible stuff? Like,
Dude, honestly,
why can't I do that?
I'm glad you brought that up because I actually I got to respect the hustle of
Me too.
artists like
I'm
this.
not mad at him at all.
I'm not mad at him at all either. I'm so jealous of
too.
artists like this because if you can get into that lane, like you were just saying, if you can get to be somebody who can just say that and people will buy it, literally buy it for tens of thousands of dollars, that's fucking incredible, dude. That's like,
yeah.
And I don't know how. I mean, I don't know this dude's history, but I assume you have to hit real hard for a while.
Wow, right, doing real
in
stuff.
The physical realm,
right?
Before you can just say this type of shit. But either way, it's a good gig if you can get it, man.
Dudes like Joel Osteen, like they're going to get their $18,000, but it will literally take them 18,000 dumbasses $1 at a time to do it. But
right.
but like the reason I have a problem with that is because like those people needed that $1 and they don't have any hope, and that's why they give that guy. If you're taking $18,000 from a son of a bitch for an invisible art, fuck that person. Enjoy your Audi. You know what I mean?
Imagine you went to a Hollywood party, Joe, and they displayed this for you. They were like, and right over here, we have this. Like, literally,
I know what I do.
What would you do in that moment if they explained it to you? They were like,
how many beers have I had?
You're halfway lit. You know, you're like 1.5 sheets to the wind.
Were we brought there by people that we know really good? Okay. Is the person's house we're at, like, do we have a deal that's contingent on them liking me?
No, but there was somebody who we do want to hit for us, and they're the ones that brought us there. But
all right,
not directly related to this.
If I was halfway lit, depending on what time it was in the night, I would spread my ass cheeks and fart on the air where the invisible statue was. And I'd be like, that is on your statue now. It is the stink Buddha. That's what I would do. I'd get all French because I know they like fancy stuff.
Well, dude, that's your own interpretation of the art. You know,
I would sell
that's
that
how
fart.
It's supposed to work, right? You're like, here's how I interpret it. Yeah, right.
I'd flip the fart. I'd sell it back to him for $20,000. I'd be like, I'm going to take that fart with me. If y'all, you know, you got to, it's on your statue. I'm taking the statue and the fart, $20,000 right now. And this dumbass would do it.
Yeah. Producer Matt points out that the one that sold for $18,000 didn't even come with its own tape. You got to bring your own tape.
Accessories not included. Hilarious.
So, all right, we're going to keep going with the dumbasses here. We'll see if Nick shows up. Waiting on him still. That's fine. He's got a lot of shit going on. We got plenty more to talk about.
He might have bought that. He might have been the dude that bought that.
He could certainly afford it. All right. So, next up, honorable mention, Daily Dumbass. Jonah from the Bible for being so easy to fucking swallow. Yeah. Matt, put up the screen grab. If you guys missed it, this is pretty wild. A Cape Cod lobster diver was briefly eaten by a whale. Not fully eaten. He got the whale, grabbed him in its mouth. He chilled in its mouth for a minute, and then the whale spit him out, which who can be blamed for spitting out, you know, a fucking white trash New England lobster man. You know what I mean?
Gross.
Just tastes like fucking Old Bay and cigarettes and shit. I don't blame the whale. But yeah, a humpback whale tried to eat this guy and then spat him out. Here's what's super insane about this story that I found out from reading about it on the internet. This dude in his youth was in a single engine plane crash in, I think, the Caribbean, somewhere around the equator. He was in a single engine plane crash in the jungle. He was pinned by the wreckage for 2 days and nights in the jungle and got rescued on the verge of death and survived a plane crash in the goddamn jungle, only 2 years later be eaten and then spat out by a fucking whale.
Yeah, I heard somewhere I was like in a Reddit rabbit hole, and I think there's like I could have been high. I was on Reddit. That like one of his buddies is talking about how like he don't buy it because of that, and like he's a drama. He's a drama queen. Yeah, but like this dude, like, you know, we all know people who were like, oh, you know, I've got a headache, or like, oh, I had a rare. They're constantly with their drama. It's always something going on. But to him, it's like this guy's equivalent of that is like going and telling people he got swallowed by a whale and spit back up. But like that is pretty fucking crazy. There's dudes like that that just like Harrison Ford and Jimmy Buffett, for instance, both of them some bitches have like wrecked their plane like 7 or 8 times a piece, and they just keep bouncing back. But like
one of the wildest ones to me is Jim Caviezel. Is that how you say his name? Is that how you
did he
say
come
it?
back 3 days later?
Yeah, pretty much. So we're talking
Yeah.
about the guy that played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ from Crazy Mel Gibson. The actor
He's
that
crazy
played,
too.
The actor that he's crazy now, he might have been crazy then too, but no bullshit. The actor that played Jesus in that movie got struck by lightning multiple times while filming that movie. So like, honestly, dude, if he's wild and super Jesus-y now, I almost don't blame him. If you're playing
Yeah.
fucking Jesus and God
Yeah.
smites you multiple times in the process of doing it, you're going to make some inferences,
Yeah,
into
I
that.
know.
But yeah, that literally happened.
I bet neither him nor Mel Gibson stopped and thought, wonder if it's about all the Jew stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you think that's
No,
it?
they were like, are we not going in hard enough on the Jews?
I
You
think we could
we're
go
not-
harder on the Jews.
We're
Yeah.
not really pushing the Jew button hard
Have
enough.
you-
Maybe that's why he's upset.
I know Jesus don't hit for you. I mean, me either. That's fine. But like, I saw the movie because like it was required viewing for like us in my area. Did you
Yeah.
see it? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it because I was listening.
For educational purposes.
Listen, I'm just going to tell no.
You love Mel Gibson.
Straight up, I was a massive Mel Gibson fan
Yeah,
as a
for
direct
sure.
dude. Fucking
He's
Braveheart
awesome.
is the shit. Listen, you say what
Dude,
you want about him.
I know.
I'm not
Look.
defending him as a dude. His body of work, separate the art from the artist type of thing.
Son,
That motherfucker is a G. And at the time,
I've
he
had to
hadn't
do this
done
with
all
Hulk
that
Hogan.
Jew stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'll watch anything Mel Gibson makes. So even
This-
though I don't fuck with Jesus, I watched The Passion of the Christ. It was hilariously metal as fuck.
should have
Like-
definitely made us know that there was some impending Jew stuff.
Yo, dude. Oh,
You know
my
what I mean?
God,
Like, go back and
dog.
look at it now. It's like,
Oh, my God.
woo!
The Jew characters in that
Unreal.
movie.
They all
Yes,
look like,
especially with the benefit of hindsight, it is rough, dog.
boy, yeah, it's something else. But no, I mean, I hear you, dude. I've had to do this with Hulk Hogan so many times. Like, dude, no, no, of course, now, fuck them, whatever. But like, you can't take away
You didn't
the
know
80s.
that when he was the
You didn't know
Hulkster
that.
fucking Hulk. Yeah, all the
And
fucking
again,
10
like-
million Hulkamaniacs didn't know that he
Yeah.
was saying the N-word.
Yeah,
You
the
know, they didn't know.
Braveheart doesn't magically suck now. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. All right, so our next moving
I'm
on.
sure we're getting eaten alive in the comments, and that's all my fault. I'm sorry.
No, we hitting. It's fine. We're moving on into the Daily Dumbasses here. Next up, all of us liberals, for just taking it for granted, we'll always be able to find our way home. Matt, the My Pillow guy is at it again.
Oh goodness.
Yes, and he's
Friend of mine about a month ago, I was on his radio show, and they he sent it out, the podcast part, to all his he emailed it out, 30,000 emails. Google took away his Gmails and his Google Maps. I want you to think about that. They took away his Google Maps. He did it.
took away his Google Maps, Joe, for daring to speak the truth. They took away this man's Google Maps. There is a 100% chance this is just a dipshit boomer who couldn't get the maps pulled up or whatever and was like, it must have been because of that podcast I did with the My Pillow guy.
Dude,
or whatever
this-
the fuck he's talking about.
It's yeah, it's unbelievable. Like George Soros or whatever was like, all right, well, let's see you get to Chipotle now, you fat fuck. Like that's not. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. But like, I've actually been thinking a lot about this My Pillow guy, like recently, but like not for reasons that you think. Like I'm kind of conflicted on him, and not in a do I like him, do I not like him? He fucking sucks. But like, I don't know, man. I have a lot of empathy because of where we're from. I have a lot of empathy for drug addicts, and this man is clearly addicted to crack cocaine, and we are watching a psychotic break. Like this man's going to have a heart attack soon, and granted, I can't decide if it's like us shitting on him or we egging him on, or if it's like, well, no, I mean, he hits for these people and they're the reason they're propping him up. But then I'm like, God damn, how sad is that a dude whose whole thing is he sells a pillow and he's clearly on crack cocaine, and there's like legions of people that are like, that's our fucking dude. Like, it's just like, I don't know, man. I'm starting to get like genuinely upset and sad about that guy's whole fucking deal.
It's like that's the whole problem with like disinformation and why it's such a
Right.
big deal. It's like that story from a few weeks ago where the Q shaman, the fucking shirtless horn guy,
The dude that looks like Drew.
yeah, that when his lawyer literally said, "Listen, this guy is
R word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally called his own
Lost
client
that
the
one
R
4
word,
years too soon,
and
didn't
his
we?
whole defense was like, "Listen, you can't give a guy like this access to shit like that.
Right.
Like you can't bombard someone this dumb or just or unwell or whatever. You can't bombard people like that with disinformation like this and not expect some shit like this to happen. That's one of the reasons why it's such a problem. And it's easy to make fun of them, but it is fucked up if people are like drug addicts or mentally ill or whatever, or even just really stupid. They can't help that they're really stupid, but fucking those people having such easy everyday access to shit like that, like the QAnon rabbit hole and whatnot. Of course, this is what it leads to, and that's part of the reason why it's so fucked up.
Yeah, and I have like I hear that and I go, yeah, I agree. Like I want to go like literally anybody that believes that is like has to be clinically insane. But then I got to step back and I'm like, dog, that's millions of people. So like there's there's millions of people that we deem unfit to even stand trial, and therefore it's like so they get off the hook, and it's like, all right, well, no, if they can't stand trial, then they gotta fucking get locked up somewhere. Because dog, my uncle, you won't believe this, rest in peace. You'll believe that part, but
I assumed that part.
He was deemed unfit to stand trial a couple times. But a couple times he held himself hostage, literally.
It's a bold move.
Like the scene from fucking Blazing Saddles where he's like, he's just crazy enough to do it. Like he fucking did that shit. But they locked him up. Like they put him in Moccasin Bin. You know what I mean? Like they put him away. Like he didn't go to jail, but he went somewhere. So like, I don't know, man. Like it's very hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that like we joke and we say it in like cliche forms, but like there's millions of fucking people that really, really need to be in a room with a key, locked in there with some padded walls and shit. And just,
but honestly, on the one hand, I'm totally with you. We're on the same page. But on the other hand, the fact that there are so many of them makes me feel like we are giving them like too much sympathy or whatever.
No, I agree. They know what they're fucking doing.
There's no fucking way that many people have a sort of like genuine mental incapacity justification for all this shit that they have done. They're just shitty.
They're just that's what I said.
Like they're just shitty, and they don't hit, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, last time I was on CNN, I made the point that I think is important is like for the worst thing that we've done is talking about how like everybody calling Donald Trump stupid and Marjorie Taylor Greene stupid and all the people that support them stupid. Like, of course, there's some dumb people, but like what really it is a lot of them are just bad. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them are just bad.
Right.
And that fucking shaman dude, like clearly he don't hit, but like, it takes some brain cells to like, dude, his paint was on right. You know what I mean? Like that's a sweet hat. Like he had to buy that. He had to get the money somewhere. Like they're just fucking dickheads. He don't look no different than those assholes you see on Greek Row wearing togas and shit, slipping Xanax into girls' peach Bellinis. They just fucking suck. But so A, he can stand trial, but B, like I don't know what the answer is, man. Like I really don't.
No, I don't either. That's part of what's so alarming about it is that it is so many like not mentally ill or addicted to drugs people that feel this shit. It's like, what the fuck do we do? There's that many just assholes. Like, what do we do with that? And I don't know. But we started this by talking about the My Pillow guy at this big rally. Well, the big man himself made an appearance at this rally show, a Zoom appearance, and it was pretty right down the fairway for him. I feel like Matt, play the clip of the big appearance here.
Hard time with the contractors. I know contractors better than anyone. They're very brilliant. They may not read or write in some cases, but you know what? They're smarter than the rest. They're smarter. So I just want to thank everybody.
Dude, right? Right? Has this motherfucker ever missed an opportunity to shit on working class people in his life? Has he ever passed up an opportunity to call working class people fucking dipshits? Dude. And they still, that's his fucking base, dog. They love him. And then the fact that it froze up in the middle of that too, it's just, I don't know. It's just perfect.
It's a couple things. Number one, I'm sorry for laughing like a hyena, but man, that shit got me. Like now that he's not the president, I'm like, all right, he's funny again. But he's not. He's not. But like that just got me. It shouldn't have caught me by surprise because yeah, that's what he do. But like that's part of their whole outlook on life is like, oh, he's not talking about me. You know what I mean? Like I hit. If I just follow the Trump plan, I'll go from this and I'll work my way up. And who was it that said that socialism never took over in this country because the poor in this country don't see themselves as poor but temporarily embarrassed billionaires? Like that's his fucking people. But like, dude, also here's the deal though. Again, let's go back to like the Mel Gibson thing. Let's put all of Trump's things aside. The delivery on these contractors, look, they can't read, they can't write sometimes. It was fucking flawless. Like, it was amazing. Like, that was really good. That was really good shit.
Absolutely. And I think it's just like a human nature thing. It's like that Chris Rock bit about rap music. And this is like a 15-year-old bit at this point or whatever, where he's like, he's talking about women listening to rap music. Yeah. And he's just like, you know, it's like,
he ain't talking about me.
Yeah, come in her eyes, blind the
bitch.
Blind the bitch. Like, he ain't talking about me.
Yeah,
you know, like
that's how it is, man.
But that is how it is. And I mean, we all do that. Like, you listen to like a fucking rap song where they talk shit about some beta motherfucker that they're gonna whip their ass or whatever.
Yeah,
you listen to that and in your head you're like, yeah, I whipped that beta motherfucker's ass.
I'm DMX.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm DMX in this scenario. And that's what these people do with Trump and his fucking shit talking of just regular working class people. I mean, I guess, because otherwise I don't understand it, because he literally talks shit about them to their face. And has ever since he came on the scene, and they're just fucking fine with it. Matt, you can start throwing up questions and comments, by the way.
Here's the thing, though, too, about that, is that Trump also feels that way about people who make $150,000 a year. He feels the exact same way. He doesn't know how much those fucking you don't know how I know he doesn't know how much those goddamn contractors make? Because he's never seen the invoice. He doesn't fucking pay them. I love that. God, I can't. I'm so do not miss that whole, like, literally every single thing was followed by no one knows blank better than me. No one's dealt with blank more than me. Like, that shit was so goddamn unnerving. I know that we have problems with Joe Biden. I got problems with Joe Biden. I've got problems with the Democratic establishment, as it were. But like, at fucking least, we've got somebody who talks like a human being is supposed to talk, and it's so nice. And this might be bad for me to look at that Trump quote, because I've been like, okay, here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I would say to Joe Biden if I ever saw him, blah, blah, blah. And then I just saw that, and I'm just like, Uncle Joe, can we go have some cotton candy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mary Whalen says Trump can't read very well.
Probably accurate. I don't know.
Yes, I assume that's, probably true. But, yeah, he just, it's just what he do.
That was so good, man. They don't read, they don't write.
I'm glad you appreciated that much. It is
a
classic. It is fun. It is like, it does make you appreciate in a bad way. Look,
in a very, very bad way.
Hate him.
Of course. Oh my God. I hope he dies.
When he's like erased from the public eye for a little while, and then he comes back in and does some very standard Trump shit. Like, that was very, very, very garden variety Trump shit.
Absolutely.
But when you haven't seen Trump shit in a while, and then he comes back through with some fucking right down the fairway Trump shit, you just remember, like, my God, this motherfucker is something else.
It's like going to see Seinfeld. Like, you're going to get the same act, but you're like, he's the best at it. You know what I mean? Like, he's fucking, he's like, it's just like you're really seeing something. These tickets were expensive. We're all dressed nice.
Do you think he's going to die before, like the next election or whatever?
I mean,
or during the middle of it?
I mean, bro, I fucking hope so.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
And publicly, so. Like, I hope on one of those soon.
That's going to happen.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's like the dude's very out of shape. He's not young for being the out of shape that he is. He also clearly has some sort of speed problem. And I don't know, like, there's no way, but like, he's also got access to like all the best shit and like vitamins and like, I don't know, man. I can't decide. Like,
I feel like at this point, he's made it to where he's made it to being relatively okay health wise.
Yeah, he'll fall apart.
And there's got to be a reason for that because of how much of a fucking trash bag shit dumpster he
lives worse than us.
I know, dude, he does, which is insane.
Insane, because like, my God.
Imagine being 75 and living that fucking way.
That's
eating garbage every day, never exercising, how terrible you would feel. Let me read this real quick. Scotty Lewis says, I think he actually means to be praising anti-intellectualism, as in one doesn't need to read or write to be smart, the way that Trump thinks of himself.
That's a good take.
I think that's a good take, Scotty.
That's a good take.
I think you make a good point. But I think in that clip, he's just shitting on contractors who do not hit for him.
Yeah,
right?
I think Scotty, what you just did would be the perfect Sean Spicer line to go out. But like, yeah, but that is a good point. Somewhere in his brain, that's probably rolling around, and that's really been, dude. And the anti-intellectualism obviously didn't start with Trump. Trump actually, in my opinion, is a symptom of the anti-intellectualism that
for sure.
That really, realistically, Reagan. Like, if we want to go back to like a prime example of but Bush really.
I feel like that's Reagan is pretty much when all of this shit started. Like,
for sure.
The present day version of them.
Yeah.
Them, the GOP that we have to fucking deal with and everything that we have to worry about all the time. I feel like that all really, really kicked off in earnest with
for sure
Ronald Reagan. Dottie Kelly says Trump does a lot of projection. He knows deep down that he is stupid.
That's true because Trump and his age group were like the Richard Spencer age when Reagan was a thing. And then they grew up into the Trump people. So like, it's that's actually a really good point that you just made. That's something to keep that in your mind for 25 years from now, when the young Republicans who voted for Trump, what they're fucking doing, like what guy they get. Dude. Well, dude, I'm just saying. Trump is absolutely a result of a bunch of people who grew up as young Republicans, frat boys in the 80s. They grew up, got old, and they helped Trump get in. Imagine what that's trickled down right there.
Yeah, well, Aaron McCullough, welcome back, Aaron, says trickle-down racism.
Oh, wow. I didn't say that.
Also, did I can't remember, did I say earlier when we were talking about the invisible art, did I give it up to our fan, Alan Smith? He's the one who submitted. So. I'm sorry, I was supposed to do that. The invisible art from earlier, Alan Smith sent that to us, and I appreciate Alan.
Appreciate you, Alan.
Great. Producer Matt says that we've gotten a lot of comments about the critical race theory panic. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Smart Mark sent this to us as a group earlier when I was getting ready for the show tonight. We had so many dumbasses, I didn't think we'd get to it, and I was going to read up on it later.
He's enjoying Hawaii, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. Just spending his time doing this. In towns nationwide, well-connected conservative activists and Fox News have ramped up the tension in fights over race and equity in schools. So, yeah, obviously, I'm looking over this as I'm talking to y'all. I don't know much about it. Do you know about this show? Probably not.
No, I mean, I know in a general sense, like what's been going on with critical race theory being, a lot of people say, hey, we need to teach this in school. And a lot of the schools in the South being like, I don't think so. Which is insane because they're the same people that talk about cancel culture, and there's no greater example of something being canceled than the history of slavery and systemic racism in this goddamn country. Because I saw somebody point out the other day, I wish I remembered who it was, that like for the most part, cancel culture it's the opposite. It's actually reminding you of shit you didn't know from the past, and it's uncanceling history. It's actually showing you stuff that was canceled by the system, and now we figured it out, and we've learned that, hey, maybe some of these people and some of these systems were bullshit. So that's the extent of what I know about it, and I don't know what to say other than like, yeah, man, they barely wanted to talk about fucking slavery like when it was actually in our textbooks. I know they don't want to do a goddamn deep dive fucking podcast style.
Well, and every time something comes up with these people, hypocrisy is always just right there immediately. And what I mean is
Amazing.
the same people also, when we're talking about Confederate statues and taking them down and stuff, they'll be quick to try to make the point of like, well, that's like erasing history.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we can't do that because that's erasing history. But then when you want to say, well, we should teach how horrifically racist the history of this country is, they're like, I don't know, maybe we should erase that history.
Exactly.
You know, because that's upsetting and we don't want to talk about that. So we should just act like America's the hero because this is our own Marvel movie we've scripted for ourselves.
It's also stupid because like that's the clear compromise right there. It's like, okay, guys, you know what? You can keep your statues, but we have to provide context for the statues. And they're like, no, we don't want it. Then fuck your statues. Be a goddamn adult or we're taking your fucking toys away, you dipshit.
Aaron McCullough says, once again, my state senator literally calls it the war between the states. I mean, yeah, that
was in my bid. It's called we have the War Between the States Festival.
The War of Northern Aggression is another one. I mean, that's like, it's definitely a thing.
War Between the States is fine, I think, because like that is what it is.
As long as you then teach the accurate part of.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
you know what I mean? Like,
I'm just saying, like, war between the states. It was
literally true.
It literally true. It was a war between the states. The War of Northern Aggression is trying to act like the big bad North was just being a bunch of dickbags, and it's like, yeah, they were a little unnerved because of the whole states' rights thing. And as we've said, it wasn't just all states' rights; it was your favorite one. It was the slavery
right
one.
To own slaves.
Yeah, come on.
John L. Childress says, example of critical race theory is that slaves were not happy to work for their masters. That is absolutely another thing for sure that they love to do. They'll cherry pick these examples of some poor Stockholm Syndrome slave from, the 1800s who wrote a letter to their master after the fact, like, can I please come back, or that type of shit, as if that disproves the idea that slavery is bad.
Actually,
that's what's so funny to me about it is that's ultimately what you're arguing, is that slavery is bad. And I feel like, generally speaking, society at large has kind of landed on a stance for that. It is bad.
Also, again, think about what you're saying, step back for a second, look at it, and understand what it truly is. You go, those letters, by the way, were written. They were absolutely written. But think about why. It wasn't because they were like, oh, sure did love being a slave. It was just, that's proof right there that when slavery ended, racism didn't. The reason that they wanted to go back to the goddamn farm is because they couldn't get hired anywhere. And at least there, they did have shelter and they did have food. It's why fucking Brooks wanted to go back to jail in Shawshank. It's the only place that he knew how to behave because he had been systemically in the system. He'd been set up. It's the only system that he fucking knew, and the outside wouldn't let him behave in a way that he was comfortable with. You dumb fucks.
Yeah, dude. And also, just like, that's 100% true. But also, even if it was just a real letter written by a real slave who was really treated very well by his master, and so thus was like, I think we really fucked up here. Getting rid of this slavery thing.
Yeah.
That wouldn't prove anything.
Of course
you know
not.
What I mean?
It's anecdotal.
It's anecdotal. You can find any one cherry-picked example of anything that goes against the argument in opposition to it, but it doesn't fucking prove shit.
Also, I love another one too, that they're like the one is Thomas Jefferson. They're like, Thomas Jefferson wasn't, sure, he had slaves, but his wife was black. It's like, oh, he fucked one of his slaves? Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, of course, dude, of course sometimes they were nice to him. They literally did everything.
Right.
But that doesn't change the fact. Because my dad, like, me and my fucking dad had this conversation when he goes, I said, dude, he was like, Thomas Jefferson, he had a child with one of his slaves. And I go, yeah, he raped a slave.
Right.
And Dad's like,
Raped a slave.
no. And I go, Dad, what do you mean? I said, Dad, if it's his property, then then by that she can't consent. And he goes,
you can literally only rape a slave.
Right.
First of all, in order to rape slaves, you have to own slaves.
That's what I said. And Dad's like, no, I don't know about that. And I go, Dad. Regardless, it was his slave. So you don't think that guy would rape?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You think he draws the line at that shit? I'm sorry, I've said rape 3 times. I'm sure Martin Shkreli's about to walk through the door or some shit like a Beetlejuice. I don't know, but I don't like it doesn't make sense like that whole. But they liked it. I don't give a shit. Like again, like we know what Stockholm syndrome is now.
Also, what was I don't know, dude. There's just so many things you could say that seem just so obvious that these people like, what were fucking lynch mobs,
Yeah.
after the fact? Like, what, like, was that because, I don't know, black people were willing to just put up with that?
I guess.
Even though slavery was so much better. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were like, they fought so hard for some other alternative,
Right.
even though slavery was really the optimal living experience for them.
Yeah, well, this just in,
which
they're
is way
fucking
better than what they had in Africa too. By
right.
the way. Like all
yeah,
of that, like
well, that's where it all starts, right there. Is well, do you know how bad they had it over there? It's like, well, at least they had fucking autonomy for it to be bad. Jesus, like that's by the way, where I'm from, a rural area that barely has internet. If you came and stole me and took me to Cupertino, and just they're like, hey, look at this, you're in a 3-story house and there's people developing apps right beside you, I'd be like, that's true, but I didn't ask for this. You know
right.
what I mean?
Well, also, if you had to fucking work 19 hours a day or whatever under threat of fucking flogging or death, yeah, you'd be like, yeah, I think I'd rather just go back to rural Georgia.
Yeah,
I know
for
Cupertino's
sure.
really nice.
At least I know where all the good fishing spots are where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was getting on fine. We was all hanging out.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we're out of time. Thank you, Corey, for coming back. And also,
sorry to be a downer.
No. We're hitting Matt. Put up the. I guess he's got a graphic. Matt says of our. Yeah, look at that. Well-Read Comedy Tour. Go to wellreadcomedy.com, please. And there you see it down there in the bottom. And thank you all for joining us. And Smart Mark will be back next week. And thank you, Corey. And yeah, all that.
Hey, thank you, Trey. And thank you. Thanks to the Skew-niverse. Is that what you call it?
Skew-niverse, that's right. Yes, that's what we call it now, the Skew-niverse.
Oh, did I make that up?
You did make that up, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny because, like, we say Skews Day. A fan said that. We didn't think of that either. We've never thought of any of those. Like other people say, and then we're like, oh, that's good. We should do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all very much, and we'll see you next week. See you. Love you. Bye.
See ya. Love you. Bye.